The June 26, 2018 meeting of the Ways and Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello? Here. Mr. Baroth is excused. Mrs. Conley? Here. Chairman Delahanty?
Here.
Mrs. Draw?
Here.
Mr. Felder?
Here.
Mr. Hebert?
Here.
Ms. Cayley?
Here.
Mr. Marionetti?
Here.
Mr. Morelli?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Here.
Okay. Will Legislator Ansello please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Are there any speakers signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
Okay. Is there anyone here who would like to address the committee at this time? Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the minutes from the May 22nd, 2018 meeting before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. The next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 18-0181.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, could we just have a quick synopsis of what exactly will be done with these funds?
Through the Chair, Deputy Public Safety Director Tim Kohlmeyer. The funds from this grant are intended to bring in speakers from jurisdictions that have had some sort of large-scale active shooter, aggressive deadly behavior event. Have a tabletop exercise, discuss with them the lessons that they've learned. And the rest of the grant is to fund training and exercising, backfill and overtime for our preparations for an event of this nature.
Thank you. And through you to the administration, will there be additional staff hired for this program?
Through the Chair, no, there will not be.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the administration. Understanding how the funds are going to be used, could you give me I don't think that I heard it. Could you give me a breakdown percentage-wise of how this is being divvied up between programming and speakers?
Through the Chair, we have approximately $40,000 set aside for speaker fees. We have $100,000 set aside for backfill, overtime, and a consultant to come in and lead us through the exercises. And then there's $10,000 for travel to a state-mandated capstone exercise that will occur at the Riscany State Preparedness Training Center.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0182.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Rocco. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
All set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the administration, and I don't need this tonight, but could I get a breakdown, please, of the amount of the number of contracts and the amount of spending that we have currently going on with Bergman and Associates?
Through the Chair, yes.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0183.
Moved by Legislator Rocco, seconded by Legislator Ansello. Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, can you give us a synopsis as to how this system will work better for the county than the current system or the older system?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the CAD system we're purchasing represents a 25-year advancement in technology. The current system is an MS-DOS-based COBOL system. Not many people today can do programming in COBOL. This is more of a Windows-based platform that provides interactive mapping, geolocation services, subdivision of addresses such as suites or apartment complexes, and it's a significant improvement in our ability to communicate with our first responders out in the field.
Excellent. And through you to the administration, can you just give us in terms of the expense, how this system will be in terms of cost versus the old system?
Through the chair, we can respond prior to Tuesday with that information. The comparison is extreme.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, could you give us, I would appreciate a breakdown before Tuesday. Can you, when you say extreme though, in terms of this system will cost us significantly more money than the current system, is that correct?
Through the chair, it's difficult to respond as the original or the current system was purchased in the late 80s, early 90s. So in those dollars versus today's dollars, the software features, the maintenance features are all significantly different than what they used to be.
Okay, so through you, Mr. Chairman, then the current system that we have, granted it is a dated system, but does that currently have any maintenance costs or any continuing costs?
Through the chair, yes, and we can provide you those numbers.
Okay, so through the chair, then you can provide us with the breakdown and the differential.
Through the chair, yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Legislator Connolly.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, will first responders need to alter their vehicles or property in any way to be able to communicate with 911 after the new CAD is implemented?
Through the chair, yes. There will be modifications. There's a series of programs that Monroe County is undertaking that is a synergistic model that's bringing together multiple technologies. So the radio project, the CAD project, and our MDT refresh project are coming together in the same window of time that are going to enhance first responders' access to information in their vehicles and at their command posts. So yes, there will be, depending on what level or tier that those organizations want to participate at, some modification of their equipment to accept that.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0184.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Connolly. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, can you explain this? If I'm correct, this is a $100,000 grant over a period of 2 years. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the county previously received the grant and was approved by your honorable body, and that was a grant from the state Department of Environmental Conservation through the Water Quality Improvement Program for the development of a countywide web-based GIS map of stormwater management practices throughout the county. And what this referral is asking for is to amend the existing term service consultant contract so that we can utilize Bergman Associates to complete that work. And the amount that we're asking for is equivalent to the amount of the grant of $100,000.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Legislator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I didn't stick my hand back up, but I did. Can you, through you to the administration, I'm a little bit confused, but that's kind of typical for me. But could you give me more of an idea of what the individual responsibilities are between Bergman and Fisher Associates in the respective contracts?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, when we selected Bergman and Fisher Associates for the term service contract back in 2017, we wanted to have more than one firm available to us to be able to complete tasks as necessary. Often firms have different skill sets and strengths and capacity and availability. They were both determined to be the most qualified when we went through the selection process, but as you may know, when we have engineering term consultant contracts, we often select more than one firm. For this particular grant, we want to utilize Bergman Associates for the work to support the program that will be funded through the state grant.
And thank you, just through the chair, and that work would be through the state grant?
Again, it's a water quality improvement grant, and working with the Monroe County Stormwater Coalition, who developed the grant application, they will develop a countywide web-based GIS map of stormwater management practices throughout the county, accessible to all municipalities, towns, villages in the city of Rochester.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further discussion? See none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0186.
Moved by legislator Connolly, seconded by legislator Marianetti. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0188.
Moved by legislator Marianetti, seconded by legislator Hebert. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, has any work on this improvement project begun?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, no.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chairman, will only those in the Rochester Pure Waters District be facing the future charge increases to support this project at Van Laer?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, costs associated with the debt will be borne by the Rochester Pure Waters District. However, those revenues will be derived from ratepayers from GCO, Rochester, and Irondequoit who rely on treatment at the Van Laer treatment plant. So debt associated with this project will be shared amongst 3 districts.
Okay, but through you, Mr. Chairman, the debt itself will only be applied to the Rochester Pure Waters.
Chairman, that is correct.
Okay, thank you. And through you, Mr. Chairman, when will we find out if we are eligible for any financing from the New York State Water Pollution Control Revolving Loan Fund?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we intend to pursue grant opportunities for which this project would be eligible for, in particular the CFA grant process, and we would expect to hear results in the fall.
Okay, but through you, Mr. Chairman, nothing has been done as of yet to apply for that funding, and obviously to that degree, nothing has been awarded, correct?
Through Mr. Chairman, grant applications are in development and nothing has been submitted yet. Deadline is at the end of July.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. With the possible rate increase to cover this work being done, how long is it expected that it will take before the debt is paid down?
Through Mr. Chairman, as you may recall, when we submit a referral for an increase in improvement of facilities, we're obligated by state law to identify the potential rate increase associated with the borrowing. It's simply a mathematical computation that we are obligated to perform and report on that shows the maximum potential rate impact. We're not expecting this project to have a rate impact. We will be funding $5 million of the project through cash capital. Again, the other $12.1 million, we expect a bond for that, but we'll also be pursuing grant opportunities. If there is a borrowing, it would be likely a 20-year borrowing, But again, we're not anticipating that there will be a rate impact associated with this project.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0191.
Moved by legislator Hebert, seconded by legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The grant is for $793,000. $286,200 goes to the towns over 5 years, with $158,792 is going to one of the fund centers. Can you explain to us, through you, Mr. Chairman, where is the rest, or the $348,968 going?
Through the chair, I can explain on an annual basis how much money is going.
That's perfect,
Geez,
thank you.
okay.
Sure.
For salary and benefits, that money is used for approximately $47,000. That's internal costs to health department staff to actually administer the grant and to do enforcement. And we have contract services allocation of approximately $65,000. So that's the bulk of it. And there are some remaining limited funding used for actually space, administrative costs to cover the space of the building, the stock room. We have $2,900 for equipment such as possible future upgrades of computers, $1,000 in travel, and about $2,000 in just general office supplies.
Okay. Thank you. Can you explain, through you, Mr. Chairman, the $158,792 going to the general fund? Can you explain that? Why so much?
Mr. Chairman, if I may jump in, I'll remind the committee that this $793,000 and change grant is a multi-year contract. This particular grantor restricts Monroe County's ability to spend this money, and they do so by allocating specifically $158,000 and change per year. With SAP, we are able to accept the entire grant and pre-program SAP so it knows in advance, only put $158,000 in this year's budget and put $158,000 in next year's, and then the third year's, and so on and so on. So this particular referral is asking this body to amend 2018's budget by the first year only of the grant, $158,000, of which a portion will be used to fund contracts, and the majority will be used to fund Department of Public Health operating costs.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion?
Go ahead.
Legislator Felder?
I just have a comment. I'm glad that the county is accepting this grant for preventing teenage smoking, and I would hope we would look seriously in the future, if not the legislation that was brought last night to the agenda charter, something that would go even further in helping to prevent teenagers from smoking. We don't have to go into all the details, but it's obviously a problem. We want to make sure that we do everything we can as a county to prevent that. That's all.
Okay. All right. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0192.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Rockow. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0193.
Moved by legislator Rockow, seconded by legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0194.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Connolly. Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, when will the environmental review occur for this project? Did I miss the self-insured one? Did I miss the self-insured?
Through the chair, it is in process, should be done before full ledge.
Okay, thank you very much. Through you, Mr. Chairman, can you explain to us the nature of this property?
This is a vacant piece of property. There used to be a home. The village tore it down some years ago due to disrepair.
Thank you. And finally, through you, Mr. Chairman, has the county paid any type of upkeep on this land, and if so, how much?
Through the chair, we have not.
Thank you.
Okay. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration. Could you give me the size of this lot?
Shouldn't be that hard.
$40 by $120.
Thank you. And then additionally, through the chair, has the county ever done business with J.D. Chapman? I realize they're defunct now, but they are now Penfield Financial. Have we ever done business with this company?
Through the chair, not to my knowledge.
Thank you. And then, though I don't quite understand it, the company that allowed this property to go into foreclosure, the main player in this is listed as owner of the second company. Is this the way that the transfer was done from one company to another, that this gentleman remained safe, harmless of any responsibility to the property and allowed it to go fallow?
Through the chair, I'm not sure that I understand.
Well, that was poorly executed, I can say. J.D. Chapman and Associates, the owner in the original business is listed as the owner of a new business that's still in existence in Monroe County. That property that he owned in the beginning under the name of the first company went into foreclosure. Is it such that he was not held responsible for any of this when the company is right here in Monroe County?
It's an individual. Through the chair, the purchaser is an individual, so that's why I'm having trouble understanding the...
I'm talking, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm talking about the original owner of the property that has gone into foreclosure and is now available for purchase by a person across the street. The original owner is still doing business in Monroe County, is safe, harmless from any responsibility. Let me ask you this. Was Monroe County responsible for the demolition of the building that was on the lot?
Through the chair.
Through the chair, sorry.
Through the chair, the demolition was done by the Village of East Rochester.
Thank you. Then, finally, the assessed value through the chair is $13,900, and this individual is getting it for a reduced price of $6,000. Will the assessed value stay the same?
Through the chair, that's a determination by the East Rochester assessor.
Thank you. And the value assessed by that through the chair won't have any effect on county taxes?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
The assessed value through the chair is $13,900, and the town will reassess, obviously, because it's been purchased for $6,000. But that would also affect, if it's reassessed, what the county would collect on this property as well. That's why I'm asking the question.
Through the chair, the village/town of East Rochester did an update this year. I don't know what the current assessment is, and just because the property sold for 6, unless the property owner went in and challenged the assessment, just because there was a sale, the assessment would not automatically be reduced.
No, I understand that, but thank you. That answers my question through the chair. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0195.
Moved by Legislator Connolly and seconded by Legislator Marionetti. Legislator Morelli.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, why is it that we are abandoning the property?
Through the chair, the adjoining property owner reached out to the county to ask if it was possible to abandon a portion of the excess right-of-way. That process, they reached out to County DOT. County DOT determined that because of the extension of John Street all the way to Lehigh Station Road, what used to be a cul-de-sac and is part of this property that's being abandoned was no longer needed for county highway purposes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0196.
Moved by Legislator Marionetti, second by Legislator Hebert. Legislator Morelli.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, when will the environmental review be complete for this project?
To the chair, it will be completed before the full legislature meeting.
Thank you.
Legislator Felder. Question? No? Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0197.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislator Draw. Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'm going to ask this same question for items 197, 198, and 199. And that is, when will the environmental review be completed? And if they could answer that, if the administration could answer that in one, I'd be happy.
Through the chair, they will all be completed before the full legislature meeting.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion? Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, could you just give me an idea of what is located at 2222 St. Paul?
Through the chair, that's the zoo,
I'm sorry, the zoo?
the Seneca Park Zoo.
Okay, I heard it as one word. Thank you.
Okay.
The zoo.
Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0198.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Rockow. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0199.
Moved by Legislator Rockow, seconded by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0200.
Moved by Legislator Ansello, seconded by Legislator Connolly. Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. Are all these parcels vacant? Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0201.
Moved by Legislator Connolly, seconded by Legislator Marionetti. Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, when will Jack's Place 2 be completed?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, construction will begin once we receive legislator approval.
And I'm sorry, through you, Mr. Chairman, the question was when it would be completed.
It will be completed approximately 6 weeks after that.
Thank you very much.
Legislator Kaley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration. I looked into the Bear playground installation styles, and first of all, I think it's a great opportunity. Can you explain to me, Mr. Staub, the county's responsibility for the property, the installation, and then further maintenance is, only because I've installed one of these and I know what the contracts are like. I want to know what the county's responsibility is.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, great question. The county will be responsible for maintenance of the playground. The foundation and Bears will be doing the installation.
Thank you. And then through the chairman, to the administration, also this is warranted for 10 years. Is it the county's expectation that this particular structure will remain longer than 10 years, being that it's wood?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, definitely.
All right, thank you. And then through the chair, would there come any time that that the county would be allowed to remove the structure if it need be after the 10-year period?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we would be allowed, it would be our property, it would be our playground, so we could make any alterations or removals at any time once we accept it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0202.
Moved by Legislator Marionetti, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Legislator Kaley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration. Mr. Staub, could you give us an idea of what the design is going to be like, since this is in one of the major parks in the county?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to. We are working with the Landmark Society of Western New York on the design, and we've narrowed it down to 2 different designs, which Mrs. Nicolay will distribute.
Thank you.
Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While these items are being passed out through you, am I correct in understanding that this $11,000 gift is from the Monroe County Parks employees? Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, no, it's from the Rochester Melanoma Action Group.
I see. Okay. Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chairman, will the $11,000 include labor costs, or is that just material?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, it's all inclusive.
Okay. And finally, Mr. Chairman, will the county be doing some sort of community awareness as part of this shaded area about melanoma?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, there'll be appropriate signage talking about the dangers of long-term sun exposure and why shade is important, especially around a playground.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Legislator Kaley.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, did I understand it's one or the other?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we've narrowed it down to these 2. These are 2 current shade structures. The one that looks like a park pavilion is currently in Webster Park, and that was the last gift that the Melanoma Foundation provided us last year, and that was constructed under the same terms. The other one that has the shed-style roof is currently located at the Highland Lilac Adventure Zone. It's one of 3 shade structures there. So we've got it narrowed down to those 2, and Landmark is currently reviewing the 2 designs.
Thank you. And it's just, through the chair, it's just one structure?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, it's for one structure. It would accommodate a picnic table.
Or through the chair? or the organic-looking seats here that I can't really make out?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yeah, it's, that is abstract bench.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just make a comment. Based on watching other families when they're at playgrounds, I think that these should be at every county and city-owned park. I would say Maplewood Pond would be great. But my choice would be the organic one, only because, based on observation, it would be more difficult for people that did not know each other just to sit at the same picnic table. That's just an observation. If you gave them something they weren't quite sure about, they'd figured out how to use it together. But a picnic table is sometimes just a little too close, but either one is fine. Thanks.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0203.
Moved by Legislator Hebert and seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Legislator Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we have a bit of a synopsis about this project?
Through the chair, the current Children's Detention Center resides on approximately 54-acre property. Approximately 7 acres are inside a secure fence line, and it includes 2 buildings that were acquired from New York State back in 2014 when we relocated the Children's Detention Center from its prior home at the former Iola campus. With the new Raise the Age legislation, we are required to build to accommodate a whole new population of children, adolescent offenders, age 16 and 17-year-old. So this project contemplates the new requirements, and based on a variety of factors, including the space we have available at the current facility, and trying to best utilize that space with respect to the fact that we have to maintain a current operating children's detention center throughout the duration. We have proposed to utilize one of the buildings, the smaller building, it's approximately 8,000 square feet, that is currently primarily just administrative space, and renovate that substantially, and then add to that the addition of what effectively is a phase 1 and phase 2 building construction to the total of approximately 36,000 additional square feet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, to clarify, though, we are not required to build any entirely new facility. Is that correct?
Through the chair, we are required to be able to house 16 and 17-year-old AOs, and we currently do not have the physical facilities to accommodate those requirements and all the related requirements for program space, rec space, dining facilities, et cetera.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I understand that we don't have the adequate space, but again, to clarify, my original question was we're not being required to build an entirely new facility. Is that correct?
We are effectively being required to meet the regulations to accommodate the anticipated number of children that will result from the new legislation. So that, to answer your question, that could be accommodated with existing spaces, renovations, alterations, new construction, or some combination thereof. Okay. In our case, it obligates us to have both renovation, addition, and new construction.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, how many beds do we think that we'll need in this facility?
Through the chair, 45 beds.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, that's what's being added as part of this construction?
Through the chair, no. This construction, we currently have 20 beds at the existing facility. The new facility will include a total of 45 beds, 20 of which will be allocated towards JOJD children, and an additional 25 beds for the new children population resulting from raise the age.
Okay. Through you, Mr. Chairman, so just so that I understand correctly, our current capacity is 20 beds. With this new facility, we're going from 20 to 45. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. And just to elaborate on my prior answer, looking at the two existing facilities and the current space restrictions, it is the county's opinion that consolidating both the current operation along with construction of the additional space for the new requirements under effectively one roof centered around the existing building 67 will ultimately yield efficiencies and safeties in the operation by having the staffing and the operational staff under one roof and all the occupants under one roof.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, was there a fiscal analysis done as to what it would cost the county to simply add an additional 25 beds and have our current 20 beds versus essentially building 45 brand new beds and eliminating the 20 that we currently have?
Through the chair, there was to my knowledge no formal financial assessment, although it's clear then we would have duplication of staff and duplication of different programmatic spaces, intake and visitation, and perhaps certain program space could be shared, say like medical, but then you've got the increased complexities of having to walk children from one structure to the other. And again, increasing operational demands and staffing.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I guess what I'm trying to understand is you're coming to us asking us to amend the CIP, and you're looking for the amount of $21 million for a brand new project, which I understand your rationale behind it because of the change in requirement with raise the age. But if I'm not mistaken, based on what you've just provided to this committee, you have not done any financial analysis as to simply adding 25 new beds or building on the existing structure versus building 45 new beds and demolishing the 20. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. We had previously, the currently authorized project for the Children's Detention Center was authorized in the amount of $9 million, and that included acquisition and relocation and then a series of capital improvements that were required of the county by the state, OCFS, Office of Children and Family Services. We did, in fact, implement several of those improvements, utility separations, the addition of emergency electric, et cetera. And then the pieces of work that were not completed were the construction of new rec space and dining space and some supporting education space. Because we knew Raise the Age was coming, we did authorize under the existing project a master plan assessment by our consultant SWBR and their subconsultant Richie Green, and that assessment recommended the addition to the existing building 68 where the kids are currently housed and or an adjacent new construction project to accommodate the needs of the then just the CDC population, and those estimates were $10 million and $13 million respectively. And then they did contemplate, in order to accommodate Raise the Age, which was just speculative at that point, we might need an additional $10 to $15 million. So that was a financial assessment, if you will, of what it would take just to accommodate current requirements and the then anticipated Raise the Age requirements. So we basically built off that assessment in our decision-making, both to accommodate the new requirements and also the fact that we're obligated by the state to be able to accommodate 16-year-old AOs by October 1st of this year and 17-year-olds by October 1st of next year. So trying to balance the needs, the remaining needs of the existing facility along with the future needs of the raise the age requirements, coupled with the operational issues and constructability issues I noted earlier, we effectively determined that the combined renovation and addition construction were the most effective, cost-effective, and frankly, most likely to be successful in accommodating the schedule.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, is it possible to get the report that was done by SWBR that was reviewed by the county to make that decision?
Through the chair, yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And finally, through you, Mr. Chairman, it was mentioned that the $9 million project is how much of that of the allocated $9 million has not yet then been spent?
Through the chair, approximately $6.5 million, and we are currently using some of that authorization to advance the preliminary stages of the Raise the Age facility, but it is the county's intention, if we're fortunate to have this honorable body authorize the new project, we will close the existing project. I would estimate at this point there'll be approximately $6 million remaining that we will not spend from the old project. Okay,
so through you, Mr. Chairman, then essentially of this $21 million, the $6 million goes away, and this is just a completely new project, correct?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Legislator Felder.
The legislation passed by the state through the chair, excuse me. Legislation passed by the state, Raise the Age, required the county to include certain community stakeholders like clergy in the planning process. Was that done? Have they been a part of that process?
Through the chair, yes, I believe a larger committee chaired by Judge Doran has engaged several community stakeholders in the planning process.
Through the chair, I received a letter from Rock X, represents a lot of the clergy in the area, and said they haven't had the phone calls returned and have not been able to get anything about the planning process, public forums, any of those other things regarding the implementation.
Through the chair, could you please clarify, was that a follow-up question?
Yes, it's a follow-up question. Because I asked the question, and I have received complaints from several clergy about, even clergy who actually are involved in the jail system, involved with juveniles who are involved in the juvenile justice system, said they have not been contacted, and have actually tried to contact the county and have not, and basically haven't even been responded to.
Provide us with the name of the clergy that indicate they haven't been responded, to give it to me. We will respond to the clergy that have inquired. We are not aware of anyone who has not responded to the clergy.
All right. To the chair, I'll forward the letter to you.
Legislator Cayley.
Thank you. And just for our own knowledge, could we have, with respect to, all due respect to Judge Doran, could we have a list of the meetings when they happened and who attended?
Chair, you would need to ask Judge Doran for that. He was the presider of those meetings. We don't have a list of the dates and times that he's called the meetings.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the answer. Through the chair, was the county present at these meetings?
county representative was present for all, if not, or most, if not all, of the meetings Judge Dorn had.
Thank you. Then could we have a list of those meetings that the county was present at?
That could be provided to you.
Thank you. And through the chair, knowing it, having had the opportunity to tour the now defunct juvenile detention facility, which for all intents and purposes should have been taken away a long time ago, there were some issues with that particular facility that were brought to bear and just come back to my mind. And one of them was, and I'm not sure if I'm using the correct term, the usage of a sally port when they were bringing in particularly difficult individuals. Is this in the design? I don't know what the design looks like. I only know what the last facility looked like. And is there a differentiation? This is a multiple question. Differentiation in the ages between 16 and 17 from the younger population, or are they all commingled?
Through the chair, to clarify, the former Children's Detention Center on the Iola campus had a vehicle sally port, and the current Children's Detention Center also has a vehicle sally port to enter into the secured 7 plus or minus acres that include the 2 operational buildings. And as far as sight sound separation, there are discrete requirements for sight sound separation between the different classifications. There are different quals for the females as opposed to the males. There is some allowance for staff to oversee both, but without getting into the minutia, there are, yes, to answer your question, requirements for sight sound separation between the JOJDs and AOs.
Thank you. And then through the chair, how many of the new beds, how many would be, lost the word, how many would be assigned to female population?
Through the chair, for the final completed facility, approximately 10 beds will be allocated towards females.
And thank you through the chair, that's for all ages.
All ages. Yeah. Through the chair, that is for all classifications, JOJD and AO females.
Thank you. And then of the approximate $6 million through the chair that will be not required for this project, and it goes to 21, where will that balance go?
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Department anticipates later this year submitting a referral that would seek to reduce financing authority on several capital funds. This would be one of them.
Thank you. And then finally, in the text through the chair, it indicates that that the facility that's going to be renovated would be previously used by administration. And could you address how that happens, where administration would be at that point, or is administration part of the new build?
Through the chair, in building 67, the current building that's approximately 8,000 square feet, we're renovating effectively 3,000 square feet that is basically unused or used sparingly to accommodate the initial requirement, detention requirements of October of this year. And then there's actually 2 phases of a new building addition, new construction to accommodate the ultimate facility. So the administration can continue to function in the balance, approximately 5,000 square feet of existing building. And then before all is said and done, that 5,000 square feet will also be renovated, modernized. It's a very old structure to meet, current practices and building code, et cetera. At that point, there will be some jockeying, if you will, around Catherine's operation, but we'll try to accommodate her as best we can.
Thank you. And then just finally, I would like to say I look forward to this project being completed and allowing good facilities for both the administration and the children as well. And also the invitation for a tour when it's done. Thank you.
Legislator Felder.
One last question. One of the concerns that was raised with me was the fact that the facility in Rush is not centrally located. It's not on a bus line. So in terms of accessibility, particularly for the poor residents in the county, to be able to get there. As part of this process, planning process, has that been discussed? And is there a plan in place to make sure that the families are able to actually get to see their children on a regular basis? So that's actually part of their rehabilitation. Is that family contact? Has that been part of the discussion? To the administration, to the chair, to the administration, I'm sorry.
Through the chair, that has been on the table for discussion. As a matter of fact, just as recent as today, discussion with industry across the street who provides transportation for those families. So we're in the process of working out to see if we can have some kind of partnership to provide transportation. And we also have another option that we're looking at as well, realizing that it is a problem for our families.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 18-0204.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Rockow. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. There being no other matters, the June 26, 2018 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will be held on Tuesday, July 24th, 2018 at 6 p.m.